Every time I show someone a picture of this rustic beam light, their first reaction is, wow, that looks complicated, but here's the secret, it's not. In fact, the build is actually surprisingly simple. No tricky miter cuts, no welding, just straightforward process that honestly anyone can tackle. So stick around and I'll show you exactly how I made this authentically aged rustic light fixture with ease. Hey guys, before we jump right into the build, I just want to first say thank you so much for liking and sharing, as it really does help a small channel like mine, and I truly appreciate it. If you're just tuning in, this project is actually part of my indoor treehouse / loft build series. If you're interested in seeing how we got to this point, feel free to check out my other previous videos, but for now, let's get started with the build. No matter your woodworking skill level, whether you're a beginner or honestly just more experienced, I believe that this is a project that honestly almost everyone can tackle. And the best part, you don't need a huge collection of tools. As long as you've got a drill, a jigsaw, and a miter saw, you'll be more than ready to take this one on. All right guys, let's start by cutting all the pieces for the light fixture box. Here, I'm trimming the ends, which mine is gonna be 36 inches long. Next, we're gonna head over to the table saw in order to rip down the boards of the top and the bottom panels. Originally, I made the box a little bit too narrow for my space, but then I went back and I adjusted it slightly to get the final dimensions of 36 inches long, 11 inches wide, and about 3 inches thick. Now, for those of you, if you don't have a brad nailer, no worries. You can skip this step and go straight into fastening everything with screws and glues. You've heard me say this project is both simple and instrumental, and here's why. For me, this build is key because it's one of the standout features of my elevated man cave area. It's really gonna give me the most bang for the buck. Sure, now, everything contributes in the overall look of the southwest corner, but this light fixture brings an authentic rustic farmhouse, Old West vibe that I'm after. So for me growing up, playing cowboys and Indians was a huge part of my childhood. I can't even count how many times I've watched the movies like Trinity Is Still My Name, The Outlaw Josie Wales, Young Guns, or Tombstone. These projects are a nod to all of the influences. And honestly, Clint Eastwood, if you're watching, this makes me want to say, whooped him again, Josie. What I'm using here is a 4.5 inch angle grinder with a twisted wire wheel. Now, if you don't have an angle grinder, you could always use a wire brush, which you could pick up honestly for a couple of bucks. But I'm not gonna lie, this is probably gonna give you some serious case of arm bursitis. Still, it's definitely doable if you're up for the workout. Now, this is the part I'm really excited to show you. And I have to be honest, I have not done this before. So this is my very first try at trying this approach out. I've got the wire wheel spinning on the brand new pine, and I wasn't exactly sure how this was gonna turn out, but I just started removing the softer wood between the grain, and to my surprise, it was way easier than I thought. Now, if you look close up at the grain, you're gonna see that it's already starting to take a three-dimensional effect with raised peaks and deeper valleys, but I wanted to take it even further. Now, you can see over on the one side, it's gonna have that smooth finish, but I'm gonna keep grinding until I get the texture exactly how I want it. One thing I found really interesting was that even if my butt joints didn't line up perfectly, or the edges weren't really completely level, I could use the grinder to create kind of this continuous grain pattern. Not only did this blend the edges together seamlessly, but it also gave the illusion that it was a single solid piece of wood. Now, watch closely as I work. You'll notice that these deep penetrating lines at first, but once we've started carving out the valleys and applied the stain, they're almost all but completely disappeared, leaving behind kind of this beautiful aged weather look. Another thing to take note of is how the valleys take on a darker tone when compared to the peaks. Now, for this I actually used a brush specifically to reach down in those valleys, ensuring that the gel stain settled in deeper. After wiping it down, I intentionally left more stain in the recessed areas because it enhances the contrast, adding depth and kind of character, if you will, to the wood. In my opinion, this creates a richer, more authentic patina, giving the piece a beautiful kind of multi-toned age appearance to it. Now, also guys, you can see that I'm actually using my Milwaukee M18 carry-on power supply. This is a 3600 watt / 1800 watt power source that I bring out every once in a while. Most of my tools have been transitioned to battery operated, so I rarely need a dedicated power source in the center of my shop. But on those occasions that I have a project where I do need it, this comes in handy, not just in the shop, but everywhere I need power. If you're already into the Milwaukee battery platforms, this is definitely something worth considering. For those of you that haven't, what do you think? Do you like it? Do you not? Now first, I'm going to clean up the areas using a sponge sanding block to smooth things out. Then I'm going to grab some gloves, which I consider are essential when working with stains, and these just protect your hands in ways that you want to make sure that you're doing. Now, I want to quickly show off my double-decker drawer system. I'm not sure why I love it so much, but for some reason, it just works well for me. Next, I'm going to be applying a pre-stain conditioner. Now, a couple of things to note here. The pre-stain seals the wood, and it also kind of ensures more of like an even color and prevents blotchiness, especially with oil-based stains. However, if you're going for a rustic aged look, that blotchiness might actually be just what you're looking for. Traditionally, you should allow the conditioner to dry before wiping off any excess and give it about 30 minutes to penetrate before staining. Keep in mind that oil-based conditioners, like the one that I'm using, is not recommended for oil-based stained. For those wondering about coverage ratio, the coverage ratio typically is about 150 square feet per quart. Though this can vary kind of depending upon the wood species and of course the applicator that you use. Now, if you need to clean up anything or you need to remove any excess, you can use mineral spirits or paint thinners. Now, after that, I applied this rich mahogany gel stain. Now, I love the deep color that it gives, and I prefer a gel stain because they don't drip or run, and it makes it perfect for vertical surface. Now, both gel stains or liquid stains would work just fine, but I find a gel stain easier to control. Lastly, remember to allow at least 2 hours of dry time before each stain coat that you put on. In my particular case, I actually did 2 different coats that I think turned out fantastic to get the right darkness that I was looking for. I just want to take a moment for you to appreciate the finished product. When you look at the dimensions and you look at the stunning range of colors, it's hard not to be impressed by how it all came together with such minimal effort. The blend of kind of rich, dark, and light mahogany tones fuse seamlessly, creating the depth that really just draws you in. The natural texture from the wire brushing added such character and depth, elevating this piece even further. Altogether, it creates an exceptional rustic beam aesthetic that feels timeless and authentically crafted, like it's been a part of the space for years. The contrast of the tones, the grains, the texture really brings this project to life in a way that's truly remarkable. Now we're going to prep for adding the light fixtures, and I'll actually include these, or at least a link to them down below if you guys want to check them out. I really like these farmhouse flush mount ceiling light fixtures. They kind of got this rustic copper metal cage that comes with the E26 base that I really like, and it just got that farmhouse kind of vibe to them, so they worked out really well. And I'm going to actually be using a ST64 is the actual bulb. Now, keep in mind, guys, here's a fun fact. So when it refers to the base, that referring to the E26 is designated, and it actually stands for Edison, who is after Thomas Edison, who actually developed the screw-in light bulb socket. And the 26 is just referring to the diameter of the base, which measures 26 millimeters. Now, the standard is this is the most common used base in the United States, and it fits almost all household fixtures, honestly making it a key component to everyday lighting. And if you look at the shape of the bulb itself, it actually has this ST64/ST19 kind of flair to it, which I think is perfect for that rustic kind of farmhouse vibe. At this stage, I'm going to be testing the lighting system, getting everything connected, and honestly just confirming that the lights are functioning properly. There's nothing more frustrating than buying something, setting it up, and realizing it doesn't work. Or worse, you got a lemon. You know, when I first started building my skill set, electricity was just one of those scariest and scary things to me. Rightfully so. I don't know about you out there but watching, But this was one of those skill sets that I had to develop over time. I still remember growing up on the farm where I had a light fixture on our back porch that was out for 15 plus years. For 15 plus years, we lived with a dark back area, getting a flashlight every time, etc., etc. And now we lived in this darkness for so long, and you know what's crazy about that is now I could fix that same issue in about 30 seconds. It's crazy how the things we know the least about can feel so intimidating. Yet once we gain some experience, it becomes incredibly rewarding. Now, I'm definitely no electrician, and I'm not encouraging you to follow my work step by step, but this is just proof of concept to make sure that the lights work before I secure everything down and install boxes. I've been in this situation before where I've got everything installed only to find out that it doesn't work, and then I have to go through the hassle of troubleshooting and replacing it. So this time, I'm making sure everything functions before locking it into place. How many times have you watched a video like this and the moment comes when they pull out their strap metal and a welder? And if you don't weld, well, that's usually when you start thinking, well, this isn't for me. And you click off the video. But hold on. I found a solution that lets you do this without needing an angle grinder, without any welding, and best of all, without spending a ton of money. Instead of strap metal, I'm using an aluminum strip. It's significantly cheaper, and for the purpose that they serve, they're more than strong enough. This right here is just a simple 1.5 inch aluminum metal that comes in a 48 inch length. Now for me, that was perfect because I needed two 24 inch supports, zero waste. And the best part, aluminum is lightweight, it's easy to bend, you can cut it with your normal chop saw blades, and it requires no welding at all. So if you've been avoiding projects like this because of the cutting and the welding, well, this is a game changer. So if Superman lifts planets, Chuck Norris Roundhouse kicks them into orbit. Well, today we're channeling both of those. Ever wonder what it's like to be Superman? This aluminum bends so easy, I might as well be straightening the Saturn rings. But let's be honest, who hasn't dreamt about being a childhood rock star or a superhero? I think too often life beats the sense of wonder out of us as we grow up. The trick is to staying young is holding on to those dreams, even just a little. Now, on my first trial, the fit wasn't quite right with the band, so I had to come back and I added 1/8 of an inch on to each side. Honestly, it took me about 3 tries to get this just right before I was ready to install it on the full beam. And for those of you who need to spray paint the hardware, here's a great little trick. Cut slits in the side of the cardboard box. This lets you cover the areas that you don't want paint on while getting a clean coat on the parts that you do. Now to speed things up, I'm using a rigid heat gun so that I can work with the material right away instead of waiting for the paint to dry. All right guys, let's talk about tools that's not exactly necessary, but trust me, this should definitely be on your Christmas list. If you don't have one of these multi-plane levels yet, you're missing out. This thing comes in handy in so many different ways, I can't even begin to list them all. In a previous video, I actually ran power up this wall along the green line that you see here, bringing an extension cord all the way to the top. Instead of dealing with a bunch of wires inside the wall, I picked up a flip switch plug-in, which lets me mount the light and run extension cords the whole way. Quick, easy, no hassle, and permit-free. As you can see here, these custom engraved metal tags, which you can honestly find on Amazon, and I'll add some links below if you guys want to check them out. But in my opinion, these just add a unique and a personal touch to any project. Not only do they create kind of a nice contrast, but they also let you quote unquote sign your work in a way that makes it truly your own. It's a small detail, but it adds a little bit of extra character and polish to the final product. Hey guys, first off, thanks so much for sticking around all the way to the end. If you haven't already, please consider liking and sharing the video. It just really helps out. Now, for those of you who regularly watch my videos, you probably noticed something's missing today, and that's Braun. Before I go any further, I just want to say, for those of you with pets, you know how much they mean to us. They are family, period. And right now, although I can't really tell you much, I could just tell you, please keep Braun in your thoughts and your prayers. Until next time, guys, take care, and we'll see you on the next one.